Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of OTF's On Texas Baseball. I'm Blake Munroe, and today I am more than happy to have Texas head baseball coach Jim Schlossnagle join. Coach, first off, thank you for joining me, but I know your time's limited, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
You've been on the job for a little over a month now, and obviously you, along with your staff, have been busy settling in. But I got to ask, what has you most excited about Texas baseball up to this point?
Yeah, I think the opportunity to, I think maybe be the sixth coach, something like that, sixth coach in over 100 years, and leading the program into what I consider the major leagues of college baseball, which is the SEC. And so that's a daunting challenge at a place with such great history and success. And I'm excited to coach this team. I'm looking forward to working with the guys that are returning, and we've spent a lot of time and effort in trying to, kind of add to the roster, whether it be through the transfer portal or high school players, or just keeping guys on the team around. So looking forward to having a team. It's coaches. It's like a teacher with no students, right? It's no fun. So I'm looking forward to getting the guys back on campus and getting this thing moving forward.
Well, you mentioned the SEC, and obviously you've coached in the Big 12, you've coached in the SEC. The Longhorns obviously now in the SEC officially after leaving the Big 12. So what can Longhorn fans expect when it comes to conference play in the SEC? And I got to ask too, what would you say is the biggest difference between playing in the two conferences?
Well, I think Longhorn fans can expect a lot of great baseball being played. It doesn't matter what weekend it is, home or on the road. The environments are, with the exception of maybe one or two, they're incredible. And they're great experiences. So I would encourage Longhorn fans to not just obviously get out to Dish Falk, but get, make some road trips because the experiences are, it's kind of like a football game on steroids because it lasts for 3 days instead of 1 day. So that would be one thing. And then I think I don't know how popular this will be, but there in the SEC, there's a top 2% of players, kind of like the major leagues. There's a top 2% of player like a Jalen Flores or a Jared Thomas, and then in the SEC, everybody else has great players. Like they have great players. There's very rare, and at least during my 3 years in the league, where you truly have better players than the other team. Because now in the transfer portal, and next year we head to a smaller roster with fewer spots. Everybody wants to play in the SEC, and so they're transferring into the SEC. And if Texas or LSU or Arkansas doesn't have a spot for them, then they go somewhere else in the league. And you look at a team like Kentucky playing deep into the College World Series, who 10, 15 years ago, they weren't playing at that level, and now they are. And so every single weekend, it feels like a super regional, and it's the compounding effect. And that's no disrespect to the Big 12. Can Oklahoma State or TCU or Texas Tech or whoever, excuse me, could they play in the league? For sure. But it's the compounding effect of every single weekend that you just don't get to come up for air. And, you're trying to win the league. But honestly, if you can just get to 15 wins, you're going to be in a regional. If you get to 16 or 17, you're going to host a regional. And if you do more than that, you're going to be a national seed. And so we want to win championships. I know Texas has won a ton of championships and conference championships and stuff and those kind of things. But the ultimate goal is to be in a regional, host a regional that gives you the best chance to advance to Omaha.
Well, it's a long way to the season, and I know that, you guys haven't officially gotten after it yet, but based on what you've seen from this team so far, what's your thoughts on them and where they're at right now? And then along with, what do you think their potential is?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's hard to say without actually watching them play. Some of the guys I've never seen play. But, you start off with the returning Big 12 Player of the Year, Max Beaulieu, and talk about Gasparino, and you talk about Jalen and the two catchers and Galvan and Schussler. So there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a couple returning pieces on the mound that we like. Ace Whitehead just went through a surgery, so he won't pitch this fall. But hopefully we can get him back in the spring. We know Will Mercer was a guy that Texas was really counting on when he got hurt last year. Max Grubbs, what a warrior he was on the mound for Texas last year. So, I think there's some pieces there to build around, and Nolan Cain, Max Weiner, Coach Troy Tulowitzki, these guys that just worked really, really hard in the last month, endless 18-hour days of trying to put pieces around that. Some of those guys, I'm not sure we're allowed to talk about yet, but we have some really good young players. We have some transfers. We have some exciting arms on the mound, but we have a long way to go in terms of putting together a really good SEC team. But yesterday, August 1st, was the first day we were allowed to call the rising juniors, and I can tell you that the response on the recruiting trail was electric yesterday. Players all over the country excited to hear from Texas, excited to hear about what we have going on, and really wanting to be a part of it. So it's going to be super important on our end that we choose the right guys and then we hold them in the draft. So, but we're excited about this team and just ready for fall practice to get going here at the end of August.
And speaking of the fall, what are y'all's plans with that? When do you guys officially start, and what are you expecting to get out of it?
Well, we'll start the first day. We'll have a team meeting the day before school or somewhere around that. We'll get in the weight room. I'm a big believer in the weight room. When you go through the SEC, you can be short, but you cannot be weak. And so it's you got to be strong to play. And so we'll have a heavy emphasis in the weight room. We'll begin to learn the players slowly. There's plenty of time. You can't get anybody hurt. But we'll just begin to learn what they're capable of doing and the areas that they're good and the areas that we need to improve upon. And probably fall practice our team period won't start till probably around September 17th, I think is what we're thinking, either the 13th and the 17th that week. And we'll have about 25 practices over the course of about 5 or 6 weeks. And we'll play some inter-squad games. I don't know that we'll play any outside competition this fall, but we'll play some inter-squad games and people get a chance to see us play a little bit. But the most important thing is that we're healthy and ready for the spring. And some guys have been playing all summer. A few guys have been pitching a lot this summer. And so, fall practice it's important. Building the chemistry and laying the groundwork and the foundation of the core values of your program and figuring out, who needs to be on the team, that kind of thing. But we got to be ready for the season. And nobody wins a championship in October. We're certainly going to lay the groundwork for that in the fall.
Well, I want to talk to you about your staff for a little bit. Can you familiarize Texas fans with them and, what those guys bring to the table? I know you've been with them for quite some time now. What gets you excited about those guys?
Yeah, first, Nolan Cain is just our associate head coach and recruiting coordinator. Every coach is going to say their guy's the best at what he does, but Nolan, I think everybody on our staff is the best at what they do. Nolan Cain is he's a tireless worker. He's very well known in baseball circles, professional baseball, in the agent world, in the youth and select and high school baseball. He develops great relationships, but he's a really good baseball guy. And I think the recruiting stuff kind of overshadows what a really good baseball coach he is. He's a really good third base coach. Certainly, things happen during seasons that weird things happen in baseball games, but I've got to watch this guy up close and personal for 3 years, and he's done an amazing job at third base for us. Coached our catchers, really took our catching next level at A&M, and so excited about Nolan. Max Weiner, wow, what he did, at A&M for us. Just took a pitching staff that literally really struggled in 2023 and did a total 180 for the most part with the exact same pitchers and dominated the strike zone. I think we were 4-1 strikeouts to walks. I think we led the nation in shutouts, something like that. And so you got to give the players first credit, but Max he instilled a culture and a system by which if the kids will just trust and believe in it, we throw, the goal is to just dominate the strike zone, throw a ton of strikes. Max, a really unique guy. He's fun to talk to. the fans will really enjoy getting to know him. And then Texas fans already know Troy Tulowitzki. They already know what he's about, his competitiveness, his level of grit. And usually guys that were really good major league players aren't the greatest coaches because it's tough for them to put into words how the things they were able to do physically that most of us normal people can't do. But Troy's the opposite. Troy sees himself as a self-made player. He sees himself as a college player from Long Beach State, and he loves Austin and he loves Texas. And so his passion comes out. I remember when I was at TCU, 2021, I believe, he had full control of the hitters, and then went to A&M in 2022. Wow, you could really see the impact that he had on their at-bats, their presence in the batter's box, and then obviously how they played defense in the infield. So getting him back fully involved was very, very important. Bringing Drew Bishop back, director of operations, that was here as a player, was here with Augie, was here with Coach Pierce. You know, he knows all the various former players from each era. And that's one thing that I really want to spend a lot of time on is just making sure everybody feels like they're welcome. And, you know, I've always believed this. This is not my baseball program. It will never be my baseball program. My job is to steward and lead the program until somebody else is doing it. You know, hopefully that's not anytime soon. But a guy like Drew, you know, he played here, so you know he knows the Tommy Harmons really well, and he has great relationships with Drew Stubbs and all the just Roger Clemens, like just all the names from Coach Gus and Coach Garrido and Coach Pierce, and we want to bring all those guys together. Garrick Mosiello, a young guy that I felt like we needed some really young energy on our staff. He was a student up at TCU when I was there. His dad, Bill Mosiello, was one of the greatest baseball minds I've ever been around, and Garrick's he's just a young prodigy, similar to Coach Mo. And then we have Chuck Box. Chuck Box is kind of my right hand. He's my bench coach. He's pretty much my life coach. He's going to help me run the program itself, run camp. He did great things for us at A&M, and he's a 6 or 7 time state champion high school coach. Really connects our program with the high school coaches. So we have a lot going on, and we need a lot of help. And thankfully, Chris Del Conte and the staff have given us the resources, and we have to continue to build on those to take Texas back to where it needs to be.
Well, you mentioned CDC there. I mean, I know y'all have a great relationship to get from back all the way to y'all's time at TCU together. What's it been like working with him again?
Yeah, it's been great. I haven't seen him that much, constantly on the go, recruiting, or he's got a lot of things going on. But you just like knowing, when you have experience with somebody like that. I think we were together 8 or 9 years at TCU. We went to 5 College World Series during that time, and he went to Omaha when he was at Rice. The first year at Texas, I think 2018, they went to the World Series. So he knows what great college baseball looks like, and it's just a great resource for all of our coaches. He's a coach's AD. He believes in his number one job is to support coaches and to support student athletes, and he's really good at it. And he doesn't. We can have very frank conversations about the program, and he listens. And so the answer isn't always yes, but at least he listens. And that's not to say that I didn't have that at previous stops, but it's just I think anytime alignment of leadership is super important, and President Hartzell, Chairman Eltife, and Chris Del Conte, they really have it aligned really well right now, and I think all of the coaches at Texas feel that.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I know your time's limited, so I got one last question for you before we get out of here. There's a ton of excitement building around Texas baseball right now. So what's your message to the fans and Longhorn Nation out there?
Yeah, I think the message is that the number one thing is to continue to build on that excitement, that there isn't a day or a time or a moment that we aren't working ever to not grow this program. And and get it back to, when I say get it back, I mean, Coach Pierce went to 3 World Series in 5 years. I mean, if we could do that, that'd be awesome. The goal is to win when you get there, obviously, but the SEC is so exciting. This is going to be different than anybody's ever experienced at Texas. No disrespect to anything prior, but this is going to be very, very different. I don't like the saying it just means more. It just means more to more people. And what I mean by that is college baseball at TCU means a lot. But at a place like Texas and some of these big state universities, there's just more people. There's more fans. It's a bigger school. So it means more to more people. And so I guess my last point would be we need you in the ballpark. It's not okay just to buy a season ticket. We need you to use them and show up. And so we need that place packed, whether it be on a Tuesday night, non-conference, or whether it be, on a big SEC weekend. So somebody's car is backfiring out here in Southern California. So it's not gunshots. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. I didn't want anybody thinking I was in the middle of a war zone anywhere. I'm out here in Southern California visiting some family right before I get back on the recruiting trail. So I'm excited to be at Texas and just looking forward to the opportunity to serve a great school.
Well, Coach Schlossnagle, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this upcoming season, and we'll have to get you back on soon.
I'm more than happy to do it. Have a great day.